MAUS, Chapter 3, Prisoner of War. Art arrives at Vladek's to record more stories. At dinner, Art tells Mala about how strict Vladek was in getting Art to eat all his dinner. After dinner, Vladek begins to complain about Mala, but Art asks Vladek to describe his time as a Polish soldier in the trenches. Vladek tells Art about the time his brother dodged the draft by starving himself and pulling his teeth out. Vladek couldn't go through with that ordeal, so he ended up being drafted into the reserves. In September 1939, a Polish officer commands Vladek to shoot at German soldiers even though he can't see anything. Vladek begins shooting, and before he knows it, he is also being shot at. Vladek kills at least one man before the Poles lose the skirmish and they are taken prisoner by the Germans. Vladek narrowly escapes a beating when he speaks German to his German captors. At a prisoner of war or POW camp near Nuremberg, the Jewish POWs are separated from the others and made to do hard labor. At the POW camp, the Jewish prisoners are treated much worse than the other prisoners. They are given unheated cabins and little food. So 6 months later, when the Germans ask for volunteers for other labor projects, Vladek volunteers. At the labor camp, conditions are much better, but the work is still brutal and they are still treated cruelly by the German soldiers. One night, Vladek has a dream where his grandfather's voice tells him that he will leave the camp on a specific Jewish holy day. One day, Vladek, among other prisoners, is released. A rabbi friend points out to Vladek that it is the same day that Vladek dreamed of. Vladek explains to Art that this day is significant not only because it is the day he was released from the prisoner of war camp, but it is also the day he married Anya, and the same week Art was born. But they were not out of the woods yet. Vladek enters a Poland that is now occupied by Germany, and unfortunately subject to German laws. When the prisoners arrive in Lublin, Vladek learns that the previous group of prisoners had been taken into the woods and shot. The Jews of Lublin work to get some prisoners released into the homes of local Jews by claiming that the prisoners are relatives. Vladek is released to his uncle's friend Orbach. When Vladek returns to Sosnowiec, he sneaks his way onto a train by hiding his Jewishness. Vladek arrives home to Sosnowiec to find his family much changed. His mother is ill with cancer and will die a month later. His father's beard had been shaved off in an incident where the Germans rounded up the Jewish men of the town and humiliated them. Vladek has a tearful reunion with Anya and their son Richiu, who is almost 2.5 years old now. In the present day, Vladek breaks off his story to complain once again about Mala, and Art, annoyed, gets up to leave. Art gets even more annoyed when he realizes that Vladek has thrown away his jacket. Vladek gives Art one of his own jackets. This upsets Art.